Hey YouTube, Lemon Easy here. Uh, Jagex released another poll blog update for the ruinous powers. Basically with the poll because I think they feel like they are in a corner here where their proposals to make the trade-offs balance with the standard prayer book have not been that popular. So I think they're having a hard time making this prayer book not just better than the standard prayer book, while also making the community happy. But I think there's a couple avenues that they haven't explored yet. And they also talked about Soul Split as a potential way. Well, they didn't say it, but they put it at the very end of this poll that I'm going to show here as a potential band aid, if you will, to the chip damage issue, which I'm going to dive into here. So going into the updated blog, another thing they thought the prayers were too weak. So that's a some players thought the prayers might be too weak for a grandmaster quest. But again, if you make it better than the standard prayer book, you're not doing what you said you're going to do. So then they equated it to the ancient magics, which I think is good. I think that's exactly what they should be going for, where there should be uh, a uniqueness to it. It not just be the same thing. But to me, protection prayers with allowing 10% of damage, it's not uniqueness. That's just the same prayer with a little bit of a debuff. I actually like absorb a lot more um, than dampen, but they kind of put it all into the same bucket here. Um, to kind of jump in, there's some more stuff they put in here, but I'm going to really focus on protection prayers, the low life risk mechanic, and then the soul split. Do we want soul split? All right, so jumping into the poll, ruinous power added, would you still want a reason to use the standard prayer book? I put yes. If the standard prayer book were to still have use, which would you prefer? Um, didn't really answer this because I think it still should have a use. Um, well, no, so stronger offensive prayers. Yeah, stronger offensive prayers, in my opinion. If the ruinous powers were to completely supersede the standard prayer book, what would you prefer when it comes to protection prayers? Copies or deflect prayers? I don't like either of those. Do you think skilling prayers belong in ruinous powers, or do you feel they'd be better part of another prayer book? To me, it's just a matter of clutter. So, I mean, how many prayers do you want to have? Do you want to leave room to add new prayers in the future? Magic has lunars, so I don't really care either way. I care more about the quality of the prayers than how many there are. Same thing, how many unique prayers should there be? There should be as many as there are good ideas without it being too cluttered, or prayers where you just always have to use it. There's no, AFK trade off versus not using it. And then the one that caught me off guard, would you be interested in us exploring a weaker version of Soul Split as part of the ruinous powers? I have an opinion on this. I think the answer is yes. We are ready for Soul Split, but we need to make it not as good as it was before and have some trade offs to it. All right, so jumping into my take on the issue, I think they should just get rid of dampen. I think it's not fun. It just it basically just turns everything that had protection prayers mitigate all damage, turns them into necks essentially. Um, the only thing I like about it is that it makes defensive bonuses somewhat relevant, but I think absorb is just better, and fulfills that as well. So if you don't know from the blog, absorb basically makes it that it protects damage, um, but you take 10% loss in your prayer points for how much damage you took. Another trade off they could add is if you're off prayer, you lose even more prayer points. But I think there is room to add a buff to absorb. What I would like to see, or if I could do this, I would make absorb mitigate any damage that previously hit through prayer, but at the sacrifices you lose 100% of that damage as prayer points. So if you're in X, you're praying magic, you get hit for a 12. you don't take any damage in this case, and you lose 12 prayer points. So in that scenario, you're basically replacing, chugging brews with chugging prayer potions, which I think is a lot more engaging, because you don't lose any attack ticks. The other thing I would like to see is Soul Split come into the game. I think it should have the same downside as Absorb. Really, I think they could put this on all the overheads of the new prayer book. Is if you take damage, you lose 10% in your prayer points. I do also think they should maybe make Soul Split into a part of that Knife's Edge low life play style. You could start at 5% healing, scale it up to 15 or maybe even 20% at extremely low hit points. But all these things sound extremely powerful, and I agree. I think in a way you could add punishment to this prayer book, fitting the theme of low life / low prayer, is add a smite mechanic to the new prayer book. So what that would mean is, if you run out of prayer, PvPing or PVMing or whatever it may be, you cannot turn your prayers back on for a period of time, say like 5 seconds, like a failed pickpocket or something like that. So in PvP, if you're smited, you're smited. In PVM, it's another thing you have to pay careful attention to. If you want to use the greater offensive prayer book, you need to pay more attention to your HP, and you need to pay more attention to your prayer points. And if you can do both of those, you get rewarded with a slight DPS increase. All right, that's my take. Thanks for watching. Comment below if you would do anything differently or what your thoughts are. But I'm pretty strong in the opinion that I just don't want curses, and I don't want something that just outclasses the standard spellbook, and I don't want just plain protection prayers. We already have a prayer book with plain protection prayers as like the signature. So, all right, thanks for watching. Have a good one.